Excellency the President. Today, the 4th of June, is the official opening of the first session of the 12th Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. And of course, today we expect to have a delivery of the State of the Nation address to Parliament by His Excellency the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. While this is the official opening of Parliament, it is also the third sitting. The first sitting took place on the 25th of May when we had the election of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. At that point, His Excellency the President made some very light remarks, and we expect to hear the rest of his agenda today when we have a delivery of the State of the Nation address. The second sitting was on the 28th of May, and today, the 4th of June, is the third sitting of the 12th Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. The receiving party is at the edge of the red carpet. I'm sure you can see the street guard of the Uganda Police Force that is lined up, awaiting the arrival of His Excellency the President. When the President comes in, we expect to have a fanfare. That is special sounds that will be played by the Uganda Police Force. I'm sure you can already hear some of the indication that His Excellency the President is on his way here. We're also happy that we've been joined by several select guests, because this session was not open to the public as would usually have been the case. However, of course, we welcome the Secretary General of the NRM and the different members from SEC that have joined us. Our main guest today, our main arrival today, will be in a few minutes, or any minute now, when we shall be joined by His Excellency the President. At this juncture, anybody who is not a member of Parliament is requested to move away, to move out of the main house. Where the members of Parliament are seated is going to be composed or comprised as a part of the precincts of Parliament, and specifically the House. So we don't expect any persons that have not taken an oath of a member of Parliament to be in that space. The indications are quite rife now. I'm sure you can see the lead cars of His Excellency the President that have now made their way into Kololo ceremonial grounds that in a few moments will be declared as the precincts of the Parliament of Uganda. His Excellency will walk through the street guard mounted by the Uganda Police Force, and with the playing of fanfare, and be officially received by the leadership of Parliament, led by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Jacob Maxon Zoboth, the Deputy Speaker, Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, the Clerk to Parliament, the Honourable Adolphe Musige, senior officials from Parliament, and he will be led to his tent where he's expected to sign the visitor's book, and thereafter the procession of the Speaker will start, at which point we shall follow the order paper. In the order paper, we shall start with anthems, the Uganda anthem followed by the East African anthem, thereafter prayers and communication from the chair. We expect that there will be a proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker, and that will declare these grounds where we are today in Kololo as the precincts of Parliament. This is what allows Parliament to sit here officially and allows His Excellency the President to deliver his address to Parliament. Of course, the President's address is very much a part of the Constitution. Every year at the start of Parliament, he's expected to deliver his State of the Nation address, and this is under Article 1011 of the Constitution. So the motorcade of His Excellency the President is now making its way to the reception point, And the guard has formed and is waiting for His Excellency to walk through the street guard with fanfare. So we shall just allow you to enjoy that moment. So that was the fanfare by the Uganda Police Band. Now His Excellency the President is going through the street guard to the point where he will be received by the receiving party led by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Deputy Speaker, the Clerk to Parliament, and senior officials from the Parliament of Uganda. Could we receive His Excellency the President? So His Excellency will now be ushered to his tent, to his sitting area. And that is the point where he normally will sign the Visitor's Book of Parliament. We shall also see the procession of the Speaker forming, led by the Sergeant at Arms, carrying the ceremonial mace. I'm sure many of you will remember that the mace was handed over to the Speaker. This is a symbol of the authority of Parliament, the authority of the Speaker of Parliament. So His Excellency is appending his signature to the Visitor's Book as a show that he is physically present here in Kololo when we have, once again, the three arms of government coming together. So shortly, the procession of the Speaker will be formed, led of course by the Sergeant at Arms carrying the mace of Parliament. And then we shall go into the formal agenda for the day, which is the order paper. We shall ask that you all remain standing until we have heard the playing of the anthems, the national anthem, followed by the East African anthem, and then prayers. And thereafter, once you have taken your seats, we shall have a proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker declaring these grounds as Parliament for purposes of our meeting today and making it legal for Parliament to receive an address by His Excellency the President on the state of the nation, as is stated in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 1011, that mandates His Excellency the President to address Parliament every year. So the procession of the Speaker will now form, and we shall communicate to you once Parliament has ended. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, His Excellency the President and Mr. Speaker.
The anthems.
Almighty God, who in your infinity wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been priest called to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner, so as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you've committed to their charge. Amen.
Proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament.
Whereas under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda is mandated at the beginning of each session of Parliament to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation, aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has, in accordance with Article 1011, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament on the state of the nation on Thursday, 4th June 2026. Now, therefore, in accordance with Rule 18.1 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I hereby proclaim, 1, that Parliament shall sit at Kololo ceremonial grounds on Thursday, 4th June 2026 at 1400 hours to receive the address of His Excellency, the President, on the state of the nation, and 2, the Kololo ceremonial grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above-mentioned purpose, given under my hand at Parliament House, Kampala, this first day of June 2026.
Communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Her Excellency, the Vice President, Major Retired Alupo Jessica Ipel, His Lordship, the Honorable Chief Justice, Dr. Flavian Seja, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, the Right Honorable Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in Parliament, Robin Nabanja, the Right Honorable Leader of the Opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament of Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this official state opening of the first session of the 12th Parliament of Uganda, during which we will receive the President's address on the state of the nation. Honorable members, the State of the Nation address is a key constitutional address pursuant to Article 1011 of the 1995 Constitution, delivered by His Excellency the President to Parliament to outline the government's achievements over the past financial year, address pressing national challenges, and lay out government's legislative agenda for the upcoming session of Parliament. I take this momentous occasion to formally congratulate His Excellency the President of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, upon retaining yet another mandate of the people of Uganda. In the same vein, I congratulate all of you members of the 12th Parliament upon your election. I implore you to bear in mind that an election victory is only the foundation of leadership. What follows is the hefty responsibility of governance, fulfilling campaign promises and ensuring social cohesion. Your Excellency, on behalf of the 12th Parliament and on my own behalf, we affirm our solid commitment to the realization of the government's tenfold growth strategy, our national economic blueprint designed to expand the country's GDP from roughly $50 billion to $500 billion by 2040. Honorable members, the State of the Nation address, which we eagerly await this afternoon, is particularly historic. It will be the first of 5 annual addresses of its kind by His Excellency the President. That will mark the start of each of the 5 sessions of the tenure of this Parliament. Your Excellency and honorable members, you will note that the physical attendance of this annual occasion has been restricted to only the members of Parliament, as a precautionary measure in response to the prevailing threat of the Ebola disease. Parliament recognizes and appreciates government's swift response in ensuring public health and safety whenever such situation arises. And I want to thank you for your kind attention.
Invitation by the Right Honourable Speaker to His Excellency the President to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation.
Your Excellency the President, Article 1011 of the 1995 Constitution grants you the mandate to deliver to Parliament and to the nation at the beginning of each session of Parliament your address on the state of the nation. The House is greatly honored by your presence this afternoon. Honorable members, as we welcome His Excellency the President, I draw your attention to and urge you to abide by Rule 10 of the Rules of Procedure, which provides in Sub-Rule 4A that the President, while occupying the chair of state, may make a presidential statement which shall be heard in silence and not followed by any comment or question. I now take my maiden and singular honor and privilege to invite you, Your Excellency, to address the nation. Your Excellency, you are most welcome.
Uganda, Her Excellency the Vice President of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, and all the other leaders and fellow Ugandans. I'm again very happy to address you on this occasion of the State of the Nation Address for the year 2026. First of all, I thank and congratulate all the Ugandans for having participated in the series of elections ever since the 15th of January 2026. And for massively supporting the NRM. Thank you so much, Ugandans. Above all, I thank God for all these victories and for the peace in the country in spite of so many evil people that have been plotting to disturb the peace. During the presidential address, some people are already distorting it as just no sleep. It is not just no sleep, it is no more sleep. And to clarify the message, I should add no more corruption, obscurzy, no more Kongora, leaning on your hole when others are digging. That's called a Kongora in our language. No more kugumaza, kuzya, diverting somebody's attention from the real target to a wrong target. No more kutuhenda, overburden us when we work and we are just sitting down. And no more politeness to non-performers who want leadership for their own ego and personal interests. This is the Xanja, no sleep. The story of the NRM and Uganda starts in the early 1960s. Personally, I started working up our people in 1959 when I visited Mbara Stock Farm as a junior secondary one pupil at Mbara High School. Having come from the Ntungamo area that was democratically outside the money economy, and everybody was on Okora Ichida Chonka, working only for the stomach, subsistence. Combined with the school education, when we came to know about the enclosure movement in the UK, Oksiba Sengenge for agriculture, the Industrial Revolution in Europe, etc. By 1965, the sectarian politics of the political groups notwithstanding, our ideas about the socio-economic transformation had coalesced. it was clear that the small enclave economy of the British, of the 3 C's and 3 T's, was a disaster for the majority of the people. You want proof? Just look at the infant mortality rate in 1962 and the average life expectancy in 1962. There were 128 per 1,000 live births, and life expectancy was 46.8 for everybody on the average. We soon grasped the importance of having vertically integrated and horizontally integrated national economies. In the 20 years of chaos between 1966 and 1986, our views were eventually crystallized into the 10 points program of Kanyara. Kanyara was where we wrote this document in 1984. Point number 5 of those 10 points run as follows, in quotes: building an independent, integrated, self-sustaining national economy. However, for the people to participate in the vertical and horizontal integration of the economy of the country, they had to join the money economy first and move out of the traditional pre-capitalist economy of working for a chida chonka, working only for the stomach, just subsistence. Since my nomadic family, because my family was nomadic, since my nomadic family had migrated from Ntungamo to Nyabushozi, it was the good luck of Nyabushozi that we started our activities there. These activities involved sensitizing the population of the cattle corridor to stop nomadism, make enclosures around their land, Sengenge, engage in commercial agriculture with the Chivaro, Chura, Aymar, cultivation for profit and maximum returns. You can see in the videos, let them show us some of the families we started with if they are there on the videos, their testimony.
Amazina gange estamagaga witu nahan waheta gwengwe inshweringi ahampa tukejeho gwankaga n'etaano ahampa eryensi konka bakandi bagyeta empango keri empango nense etaine ebihingi etaine kery'emburare ry'ekishaka twatahomu kutwabere turi omuntu turisa turi nkoku tukatari nk'abakaramoja mbwenu President aijomu ariho nkusenia ya mukaaga yatayayo mu maka gaitu tukugira ngu akataragira ngu naragira akari omwana w'ishomero tukanto mukiza n'emyaka namwe ninje mukiza obundi aha ninje mukiza tukanto mukiza emyaka akatusomesa ari omwana yatusomesa okutuura okuhinga okwombeka amaju gatakugira ngu n'amabaati agagutwayombekere bwanyuma g'ebihome okuba batuuza omunsi okurera kuzengerera okurera kutaasya kutwabanda nambwenu nkaitwe nkanya nkenjo yange ekeha kyekutaasya kanyabihara konka yatutanga yatwegesa ebintu birungi yatwegesa okushitama yatwegesa okutuura yatwegesa twaba abantu mbwenu kuko abantu babaire abari kumanya bukuru ko babaire bari itwe tukatari nk'abakaramoja kandi nakigamba matukatari nk'abakaramoja hakabakaramoja bakabaturana bafuruka nambwenu nabo mpurira ngo abegesa abandi akabareta mpani mpurira nabo nubagambe bya orime w'abantu nuwe atikiza no kuturkushoku no kutuyima kono nubu ataine kakwate nangu no kuba umuntu nakwenti kandi tumukize imyaka itwe kandi tumukije imyaka hari hata nangu nimukira n'ubundi yampa hati kuyahereze kutwegesa ibintu ibyo kutwayega kutwayombeka amaju g'ibihome kutwaba abatuze kutwarera furuka kutwahinga yagira umukishaka yayongeraho cya kabiri yayongeraho twatunga enjungu yayongeraho ubwenge bwo kugemura
ntukama rutabishatu buri izuba aritemwe negura shingirwenda kuri kubazamu buri izuba ni mtwaro wa 28 kuko kubazamu mu kwezi nizo miliyoni 8 n'isente z'ushagamo
yayongeraho twayombeka amamarungi nambuye n'cyanga cyitwe cyo n'ikindi kwera kwa hakanisa yitwere garkera hindu garkera n'ahandi ahinda arabira bumba irenye namani umutambana icyanga cyitwe no kurgaha kwikariseri kukahindu garkera tarobana ku ngwabana bana kuntu bateze impicengaro tubarho nutimba rero kandi kangenda ebyo byona nuyabigisi hangeri turumweri turkuzanda mwirhirhiri haje amasomo nkanye kutere somo n'imyaka yanjye.
So there you have the testimony of some of the families we started with in 1966, end of year. That old lady was speaking in Nyankore, and she said that when we came to teach them in 1966, we were students having finished A-level, and we told them to stop. She was saying that they were like the Karamojong. Atkatu nkaba koromoishu. Nomadic. And if you read our booklets, if you are polite, if you if you can make yourself a bit humble to learn from smaller people like us, then you will see how we argued with those traditional people to stop from nomadism, stop nomadism, and have settled agriculture, grow crops, and so on. Now, she was saying that because of the insecurity, we had to go away to fight. But when we came back, 1986, we added the issue of going now, not only just being settled, but being settled and also doing commercial agriculture with the Chivaro. That's why we advised them to go into dairy farming, because dairy farming was more for smallholders and medium people. It was better than beef ranching. Beef ranching needs more land. Now, that model, which started in the Nyabushozi area, has spread to the whole cattle corridor south of the Nile. There's a man called Matongo in the Ngoma area. Let's see what he says.
Amazina ninge George Matongo wa Ngoma mugomba guntu hano gwataka shozi nandi kutaha umurimo gwanjye ndi muri isa nteze mujya kureba nuko itandikira tatakanda gento bakubya talobo hagwakidana meirisa zakanya nagura amataka nyuse nazo zankorera ibintu kwenda zashubitiza abana bihereze natuzurho kabanza mu Nyankore naija nahindura nk'umwata ngo nzungu nuko uzahangiranye nazitunga batezungu ezo ndisikumute.
On our farm, we collect over 900 liters of milk per day, and a liter costs 800 shillings, which is approximately 21 million per month.
So now this is now another side of the cattle corridor, Ngoma, Nakaseke district. But the cattle corridor is continuous from the border with Tanzania in Isingiro all the way up to northern Uganda. But much of the work we have done so far was in the south of the Nile, from River Kajera up to Chiriandongo. They have all changed. Now that man is in Goma area. The infrastructure is not so good, but you can see they are having a lot of money. That particular one is selling 900 liters of milk per day. The price is low, it's not high, but they still get 21 million shillings a month. You can see that girl there, she's educated because of the money which the parents have to pay for her in the schools. And they have moved from the other small houses which the old lady was showing you to now permanent buildings to live a better life. Now, that is the testimony from the cattle corridor. That's why this time really I am no longer interested in non-performers. Between 1986 and 1989, we campaigned for prioritizing the enterprise of dairy farming for the small and medium farmers, while the big players could continue with the ranching for beef. By 1995, the cattle corridor had started changing. People getting income per month from the milk, building better houses, paying school fees for children in paying schools. Indeed, our late Magaga is the husband of the other lady who you saw, and father of Lieutenant General Kavu is here. Is he here? He's a big general now. Oh, you can see how big he is. There he is. Now, their family, the wife and the husband who died. Indeed, our late comrade Magaga, the father of Kavuma, came to me and told me that he did not know what to do with the money. When they started getting money from the milk, he couldn't believe it. He came to me. You are people really, once you say you are a leader, you are putting a problem on yourself. If you don't become a real leader, God will not like you. I can assure you of this. Either you lead or you stay in your home. Don't try to be a leader when you are not, when you don't care about the people. So Magaga came and said, a citizen should be hindered. Because the milk people are paid every 15 days. They are paid. And this had never happened in Magaga's life. She had never seen it. That a villager is being paid every 15 days, being paid money. Being paid every 15 days. Nka o mshahara. That's what he told me. As if I am working in a government office and being paid a salary. That was the tragedy of Uganda at that time. Only the civil colonial servants could get regular income. This change in the cattle corridor by the traditional families of Abatasoma, because these people had never gone to school. Magag had never gone to school. His wife had never gone to school. To change Abatasoma, the ones who never went to school, was engineered by us, was against the advice of the professionals. Professionals did not believe we could change these people. They would tell me, you're wasting your time. Those Banyankore cannot change. They were all saying to a man that the Banyankore could not change from their pre-capitalist lifestyle to a money economy. Moreover, when we were doing this, nobody among the colonial elite would agree to support us. It is only Mzee Byanyima who gave us 20 shillings. With my colleague Mwesugwa Black, who died in 1972 in our wars, we used, the only person who helped us gave us 20 shillings. That's about $3. $3. Just short of $3. Because a dollar that time was 7 shillings, a dollar. So $3 would be 21 shillings. So when we went to say we are going to mobilize the Banyankore to stop nomadism, other people refused to help us. Mzee gave us 20 shillings. With my colleague Mwesugwa Black, who died in 1972 in our wars, we used 7 shillings per person to use Mongonya's bus from Baraturshere through Ruhumba. That was 14 shillings. So out of our 20, we used 14 to come from Baraturshere. 2 of us, each one 7 shillings. Mwesugo was a smoker. So he took away shillings 120 to buy a packet of Sportsman. That left us with 4 shillings 80 cents. After holding public meetings at Rushere, we used the Bazarona bus to a place called Katongore, each using shillings, 1 shilling and 20 cents. That is 2 shillings and 40 cents. In the Katongore area, we started moving on foot up to near Nama, where we spent the night leaning against the harvested millet. When we spent one of the nights, we spent it leaning against the millet of one of the peasants called Chankuru. Millet is very comfortable when it is not threshed, when it is in the sheaves. After addressing a public meeting at Nama, the group gave us bicycle rides to Mzee Bitasene's place near Wamasha Dam. Moving on foot, we addressed meetings, including a mega one at where there is Karo Secondary School now. You should have seen the grandfathers and other adults listening to these young people. I was just 22 years old that time, and Mwesugo was just slightly older than me. Thereafter, we moved on foot out of Mzee Tanyoka's home that we had made our camp and spent the night at Rushere with Mzee Mhinga. Thereafter, our remaining 2 shillings and 40 cents could only take us up to Nyakasharara. And from there, we walked on foot all the way to Mbarara, spending the night at my kurar in Akairungu near Biharu Mbarara area. It was now 1967, January, and it was time to take up our temporary teaching jobs and get our own money to easily support our voluntary struggle for our people. Therefore, when I hear leaders talking of allowances to reach their people and get them out of poverty, I almost get nausea. I feel like vomiting. If you don't know, when I look at you, the way you do things, I really feel very not pleased, but out of politeness, I've been keeping quiet. But now I'm telling you. Even those who get government allowances do not go to the field. I hear that many just stay in Kampala. Another mistake is for leaders to give personal money to constituents. As you can see here, we had no money to give to anybody. The only money we had, even when we started getting our own salaries, was for bus transport. Most of the time, I would ride the bicycle from Kazo to Burunga, from Burunga to Rwakitura and back. The only fuel I needed was no fat on my body. So now you hear a problem. Murka chief needs a motorcycle. Motorcycle for what? Let the Murka chief ride a bicycle. I'm really sick and tired of that parasitism. And that's why I told you that this is Kisanja, no more sleep. Because I've been polite, talking, thinking that people will learn by example. No. This is the time to talk straight to everybody. Why should the Muruka chief have a motorcycle, fuel, money? Let him use a bicycle. It is better for him. He will live longer if he rides the bicycle. Even a Gombore chief, the Gombore is not so big. Why should we have fuel, all that? Work can't be done because there is no money for fuel. The only fuel I needed was no fat on my body. We would share food and accommodation with our hosts, the population. God has kept me here, and I'm now 82 years old, almost, not exactly, but almost. In spite of the efforts we expended in the resistance, the most important contribution to the people of the cattle corridor was the diagnosis of their problems and the prescriptions we offered. Because these people had no money to give them. The only thing we gave them was a correct analysis, diagnosis, and a prescription. They were enough to arouse their enthusiasm and expectations. That was the reason they massively joined the young party we formed in 1980, known as UPM, after the parties were again allowed to exist. No money given to them, but accurate analysis and prescription that was a projected solution. And also reaching them. You can imagine a 22-year-old children calling adults, grandfathers, and they come to these meetings. By 1986, the production of milk in Uganda was 200 million liters per annum. It is now 5.4 billion liters, saving Uganda US dollars 1.56 billion of imports and earning US dollars 285 million in export earnings. So this work we did not only help these cattle raising families, but saved Uganda the import bill of $1.56 billion. If we were importing all this milk, Uganda would be spending $1.56 billion. Additionally, Uganda is earning now $285 million in export earnings. Uganda used to import tinned condensed milk from as far away as New Zealand, packed pepper milk from Kenya, butter, cheese, yogurt, powdered milk, etc. from Denmark, etc. Uganda now is a big exporter of all those products. That is our work. The people in the cattle corridor need to deepen their work by going away from oxetura, free range, to growing pasture and indoor feeding of cattle, goats, and sheep. The only people who indirectly helped us in this were the late King Gasionga and some community leaders like Eliazari Bitembe, who had mobilized the Banyankore to come back from where they had been dispersed by the spread of the tsetse flies following the invasion of tsetse flies from Karagwe, Tanzania in 1918 and after. To be saluted in particular is President Eisenhower of the United States, who deployed USAID to spray against the tsetse flies in 1958 using a chemical known as diedrine. When President Clinton visited us in March 1998, I wanted him to visit the cattle corridor and see the outcomes of the good the USAID had done. However, his people preferred to take him to Mukono to see pancakes. So I wanted him to go and see this work, but his people said, no, you go to Mukono and see pancakes. So they went to see pancakes. Even me, I went with them. Ever since the coming into power of the NRM, we have eradicated the tsetse flies in Ichiboga, Ngoma, Busoga, Lango, etc. With the shift from Kusetura, free range, to indoor feeding of the dairy and beef cattle, and stopping the primitive practice of property fragmentation after the death of the head of the family, Uganda will overtake countries like the Netherlands, Australia, Argentina in production levels of dairy products, beef, leather, etc. After this success, I started inviting delegations of leaders from other parts of Uganda to visit and learn. This is where the question of no more sleep, no more kukongora, no more kugumaza, no more kuhenda, no more politeness to non-performers comes in. Because I would invite leaders, come please and see. This area was like this. We have now moved it, it's moving like this. And they would visit. My expectation was that they would go and try to do the same in all our areas in Uganda. The county of Nyabushozi each day delivers to the factories and milk coolers 1.15 million liters of milk per day. That's county alone. There are 115 milk coolers in Nyabushozi alone, mainly private. And there are now 160 milk and milk products factories in the whole of Uganda. Having succeeded in the Nyabushozi-Kazo area, and having been inviting delegations after delegations in 1995, I made a countrywide tour on exactly this point. I studied the whole country, and I recommended the two models of agriculture: intensive agriculture for people with small pieces of land, and extensive agriculture for people with big pieces of land. In the 1996 manifesto, we reduced it into the 4 acres model with 7 activities for intensive farming and for other products for the plantations and the big farmers with big pieces of land. With 4 acres or less, you could engage in zero grazing for 1 acre of pasture with 8 Frisian cattle, 1 acre of coffee, 1 acre of fruits, 1 acre of food for the family, poultry for eggs and piggery in the backyard, and fish farming near the wetlands. With large farming,